Good day, everybody. I'm going to show you Autodesk Maya 2015, a brief overview, and then we're going to go straight into developing a um, bouncing ball animation today. Okay, so basically, this is the toolbar at the left side in which you have the controls to move an object, not draw, but the move or rotate or scale objects basically. And this over here are polygon different shapes, and over here this panel what you see is how you can view whatever you are viewing over here. You may be able to see them in wireframe mode. You may be able to turn on or off your latest 3D renderer, or go to the the last versions, the previous versions renderer, or you can turn on lighting, shading, etc, etc. I'm gonna show you briefly for a couple of minutes what these are. So you can create a shape over here. I'm gonna use this shape to create the bouncing ball animation. But before I actually create that animation, I'd like to show these tools over here and what these tools on the left side can do for us. So I'll increase this the height of what this ball's current location is, and if you press uh, this button over here, this button, it will show you the wireframe. Okay, and the shortcut of coming here, if you don't remember this button, come to 4, click on 4, and then if you want to see the shaded view, you need to click on uh, this button. What this is doing is it actually is showing you the shaded view with the wireframe. So the wireframe plus the shade is being shown, and the shortcuts from the keyboard are 4 to see the only the wireframe, and then 5 to see the shade, and 6 to see the texture. Because we have not applied any texture now, so you won't be able to see those textures yet. So this is the shortcut, by the way. Now if you don't see anything, if you have applied any colors, any texture, you're not able to see it, you go to the old or legacy viewport. Right now currently I'm on the default viewport. If you want to go to the legacy, which is the older version, so you'll see some changes which was basically in the older version of Maya. You see this cube over here, you can go quickly and switch to the front view, the top view, the side view, etc, etc, and this brings you back to the perspective view, the home button. Okay, and also the legacy high quality viewport, this is the one which you may want to switch to if you're not able to, if your graphics card is not able to render things very properly, because Maya is very graphics card intensive, and it takes a really good quality, high quality graphics card to show everything very clearly. Alright, so that's pretty much beginning of what it is. These shapes over here are polygon primitives. The other kind of shapes we have are NURBS. What are the main difference between them? These have flat surfaces. You see, if I come closer or press uh, let's say 5, and I come closer to it, you see these are basically flat surfaces. You see this is a flat surface, flat. So the shapes created over here are based on flat surface, whereas the NURBS objects are not flat. You see they are not they are circular. Okay, so that's the key difference between them. So we'll come to this and we'll explore a little more later on. Let's start creating our animation. So let's leave it a little up. Using the Y, we move it in the Y axis. Using the yellow, we move in the Y axis at the top, and we create somewhere at the center this ball. This is its current position. This is its timeline. Okay, so in the animation, you move the timeline. You see right now there is no animation, so you don't see it moving. So I'll come on one and press S. The reason I do that is I mark a keyframe. So this is the current position. Somewhere in the middle, I bring it at this is 1. Sorry, I bring it at the top, and this is at the current position. I'll just move it a little upwards also, because this is my current position, and I press S. Make sure you press S whenever you make any changes, and I bring at 15, bring it down at 15, and I press S again. So what I'm doing is it's the same shape from coming from top to bottom. Now come to 25, and I make it a slightly stretched and go and slightly more down. So just before hitting the ground, make it slightly stretched using this scale tool. And the shortcut is R as written over here. So basically the shortcut for scale tool is R, rotate is E, and move is W. Okay, WER. So I'll scale it to show that it is stretched slightly, uh, and from the two sides, let's move. If you press space, you can move to the side view or the front view. So I'm gonna compress it from the front. So if you see, this is stretched as from what it was before, and then whatever changes I have to make, I press S now. Okay, so if you see, this is the top, it was like this, and then it is like this here also, but now before just hitting the ground, it becomes slightly stretched, which is the principle of squash and stretch. And when it hits the ground, it should then compress. So let's come to like 35. Press W as a shortcut to bring it more down. Okay, and R to stretch it, and I advise you stretch it from one of the front or side, any one of these. Okay, so you press shift and change your view. We come back and see, yes, it is compressed from two sides, and it should be uh, compressed from top, and it should be inflated from two sides. So it is inflated from two sides, and we need to compress it from the top. So we go to one of these views again, and we compress it like this and stretch it from the two sides. So this is our front view, and whatever the changes we had to make, after making those changes, you have to press S. That's necessary. So right now those changes have not been saved because I did not press S. Okay, so I just bring it down again. Let's do that step again. Press R to make it a little more stretched, compressed, to make it compressed on the top. Okay, and then come back to the perspective and press S to make those changes. So it drops down, stretches just before hitting the ground, and then when it hits the ground, it compresses. Okay, that's the one side. It comes down, stretches, and then it squashes, and after it squashes, it has to go back up. So we come back to 45 and change the view to back to the front or side, whichever you have done changes in the first place, and select W to move it back up. And also, while it is moving back up, you also scale it back to what it was before, something like what it was before. Okay, so whatever changes you have made now, make sure you press S again. Okay, so it was like this, comes down, stretches, squashes, comes back up. Over here maybe you need to do a little more of stretching over here, so we press S space and go back up. Make sure whatever changes you make, you press S, so it comes down, stretches, squashes, and goes back up. Okay, we need to make it something like this. Okay, so if it's bigger, you make sure that the overall volume should remain the same. So it looks like a little bigger than it was before, so I just bring it back to what it was and press space. Okay, so that's my bounce, comes, squashes, and then goes back. Now this is 45, I come to 60, I move it a little more up, and then I press S. Okay, that's what my whole animation is. Let's play this again. Okay, that's my whole animation. Now what I want to do is, we also want to modify the graph. Let's also look at what graph editor can do for us. So any of these positions, let's click on any of these keyframes. All right, and we need to go to the graph editor now. So let's say we go to um, animation editors from the window and go to graph editor, and you will see a curve like this. You click on any of these keyframes. This is representing keyframes, and we need to make it flatter like this. So that's the shortcut. Okay, so if you click on this button, it will all make it flatter. What it says is it tends to increase the gravity. Okay, so we make sure you click on translate Y, because this is the only movement over here. That's why it was applied on this. There was no movement on X axis or Z axis. It was only moving on the Y axis. Okay, so that's why we applied this flat on this. All right, so that's what your first exercise should look like. And let's play this again. That's the simple monomer. What it tends to do is it tends to increase the effect of gravitation. Now this 200 shows you the end of the animation. You can modify this to somewhere like 100, and the beginning should be like 1. So you see from 1 till 100, and when I play this, let me just extend this a little bit. So we see the whole timeline. Let's play it now. Okay, that's my complete animation. Okay, thank you very much for watching.